Time to round up another big topic from the week. Arizona legislators passed a bill that would allow businesses to refuse to serve gay and lesbian customers. It's the third state to take up such a measure. Idaho's is still pending while the Kansas Senate shelved their state's version of the bill. The proposals would allow businesses and in some cases even government employees to refuse to provide service to gays and lesbians if they feel it's against their religious beliefs. So could a similar bill make its way to the Texas legislature during next year's session? That's our topic this half hour. We want to know what you think. You can share your thoughts on our Facebook page or send me a tweet at Sally Mack, Fox 26. In our newsroom, we have our legal analyst, Chris Tridico, news analyst, Mustafa Tamiz, and public policy analyst, Jackie Bally. All right, so what do you guys think about this? Chris, first from a legal standpoint, what does this mean?
Well, this is going to go to the U.S. Supreme Court, and with their two rulings last year on the Defense of Marriage Act and the case in California, I don't see any way the U.S. Supreme Court is going to let this law stand. In other words, what Arizona has done is they're going to invest millions of dollars in defending a law that's going to be struck down by the U.S. Supreme Court at the end of the day, in my view. One of the things that the United States of America stands on is we don't discriminate against people. And we spent a very, very long time discriminating against African Americans until the 60s when we passed laws to prevent that and have worked ever since to stop it. I don't see any reason why the U.S. Supreme Court will allow states the individual right to say we will start discriminating against gay people and hide it behind a religious argument, a First Amendment argument. I don't see it happening. Jackie Bally, but let's talk about the Texas legislature. We talked about this off air. Do you see someone in the Texas legislature filing a bill like this?
Anyone can do anything. You never know what people are going to do, but there's no way a law like this is actually going to have any kind of traction in our legislation. What they're using in Arizona as their argument is they're saying they're protecting religious freedom. And we do have conservatives here in Texas who believe in protection of religious freedom. But whenever you're also intimating that you're discriminating against a certain sector or a certain group, that's where you get challenges, and that's why it's going to, I agree with you, it will go to the Supreme Court. So who knows what anyone's going to do. You can propose anything through the legislation, but it will not have much traction.
You know, hiding behind the First Amendment to say this is a religious freedom argument so that we can discriminate against people we don't like, there's just something fundamentally unfair about that.
Well, conservatives pick and choose which part of the Constitution is holy and which one is, you know, they're going to discard. And in this particular case, I believe that not only someone's going to propose in the Texas legislature, 2/3 of the Texas legislature is Republican, and if they win a seat in the Senate, an additional seat, that you are going to see those type of things come up. Dan Patrick, who's rising on the lieutenant governor's race, has already said, and all of the other candidates in the lieutenant governor's race have said they're going to repeal the DREAM Act. So not only they want to create new laws that prohibit, you know, civil liberties, but they want to repeal ones, and you've seen that with Obamacare that they want to repeal it. So this legislature is far more conservative than people think, and they're likely to go all out after this election.
All right, and we're going to go to Sally. She's monitoring our social media, and I know that we've got something on this.
Yes, we have viewers weighing in right now as they're watching. Keith says it sounds to me like a knee-jerk election year attempt to garner votes by targeting one particular hot-button class of a potential customer. And then Chris says this is not about discrimination. It's about a business owner having the right to choose how he or she wants to run their business and then be willing to accept the consequences.
And I don't agree with that last comment, but that's what started this. A business owner in Arizona, I believe, refused to make a wedding cake for a gay couple and got sued over that. And that's what prompted the legislature to pass that law.
Sure, and you'll see in Arizona, they have a lot of laws that are much more restrictive than our laws, much more conservative than our laws. I'm not saying that we're not conservative. We're extremely conservative. But we also work with a lot of business owners, and the business leaders in our current in Texas are not a proponent of something like this. And our business leaders do have a lot of say in what kind of bills are being passed and pushed.
But the legislature couldn't come in and say, it's against my religion to serve African-American people, therefore the legislature is going to pass a law saying you can discriminate.
Yeah. Not only conservative, we're severely conservative. And when is the business part of the Republican Party won a Republican primary? I mean, the business part of the Republican Party is losing race after race after race, and we're seeing not just conservative, but severe conservatives
And Dan
leading
Patrick
the
is
charge.
actually being backed by he's been backed by the Texas Association of Business Leaders. He has a lot of businessmen behind
you're
him.
also
Absolutely, and he also wants to repeal the DREAM Act, which is 80% popular amongst all voters, and very few voters, only Republican primary ones.
I don't think the
that care
DREAM
about it.
Act has anything to do with same-sex.
It talks about discrimination, and if you look at Dan Patrick's remark about Mayor Parker's recent nuptials, I mean, he was outright rude. So
offensive about it. But you're also seeing business leaders say we can't back Tea Party people anymore because they're anti-business.
But they are supporting Dan Patrick.
Well,
in quite a large number.
Well, I don't think Lieutenant Governor David Dewhurst would agree, or many of the Chamber of Commerces that are endorsing Governor Dewhurst would agree.
All right, we're going to leave it right there. Sally, we'll be back next week, wrapping up the hottest stories of the week.
Sounds good. Enjoy your Sunday, guys. We appreciate it.